Hey everybody, it's Frank from Motorvate. Let me show you something I've been working on. These are some gauges. So the display is 480 pixels by 272, and I have it hooked up to a 150 psi oil pressure sensor and a 100 psi fuel pressure sensor. The diff oil and trans oil, the sensors are on the car, but I haven't done the wiring to this display or the programming, and I probably won't do that on this display for some reasons I'll explain in a minute. So again, it's nice to know your oil pressure, especially with the VHR engine. So I was getting a little bit worried, reading a lot of posts, and this is something I've wanted to do for a while, and this is the first working version. So if I give it a bit of gas, we can see it responds, which is nice. Fuel pressure typically stays the same, 49, 50, 51 PSI. It does drop down under wide open throttle for a moment, but because of the smoothing of action of the gauge, you may not see that. But most importantly, it's the oil pressure that you want to know. So to show you how this works here, on the back I have a Arduino Uno clone, and that is the main processor, and it connects to this red board, which is what's called a terminal shield. It just allows wires to go into pins very easy. And then as we can see right there, it says Newhaven Display, and that goes to this display board. Now what's really nice about this display board is that it has a graphics coprocessor. So the Arduino Uno, it's got a 16 megahertz processor, 8 bits wide. It's good, very good actually, but it's not very powerful. It can't pump a lot of data through. So it sends these lightweight commands to this graphics coprocessor, which is part of this LCD display. And from that, the graphics processor and display work together to render the graphics 60 frames per second, 60 times per second, which is really nice. So we've got our oil pressure and our fuel pressure, and on the bottom we've got our diff oil temp and trans oil temp. That's not enabled just yet. I've got the sensors on the car, the wires are inside the car. I just haven't wired them to the device as well as do the programming. Now, the downside of using this display is it seems to add a lot of noise onto the analog side. So the way these pressure sensors work, it is a varying voltage depending upon the pressure. For example, at 0 psi, you will have 0.5 volts. And for oil pressure at 150 psi, you will have 4.5 volts. You read the analog value, and then it goes through a process called analog to digital converting, or an ADC, and it converts it to a number. And that number represents the voltage. Now, unfortunately, this display seems to introduce a lot of noise onto that analog circuit. So we get a lot of needle shake. Like when I was testing it at my desk, applying a steady 3.3 volts, the needle was still shaking there. And I have done some smoothing using something called a moving window averaging, and that has greatly reduced it, but it still does shake a little bit. If I take off the display, it goes away. So it's just one of those things about this display. So the good news is it's really nice. It's very responsive. The data is rendered very fast. It is color, but I've just programmed it to sort of be black and white with a little bit of blue to kind of match my G37. The bad side is that electrical noise causes the needle to shake, which may or may not be a big deal. But just wanted to give you a sense of what I've been working on. And from what I've learned here, it will be applied on other projects that will be starting up next week. Anyways, that's all for now.